How are you, man?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for having me, man.
It's good to have you on here. I know we were like talking before we went on live, and it was like, I really admire what you've been doing. I know I had talked about that off the camera, but I really do mean that. So, for our viewers and people who are listening, how did you get to start like doing hair for celebrities and have such good content? It's just like it's really like what everyone aspires to be at one point in their like career.
Oh, thank
For
you so
sure,
much
for sure. No,
for the
definitely.
compliment, by the way.
No, for sure. It's like you're like doing it. Like, so it's like, what's your journey to that point?
To be honest, it was my goals, honestly. Like, my goals and my dreams to get out of the life that I was in growing up and to kind of build something for myself. Along the way, I met a handful of great people that helped me and showed me the light, as they
Really?
say. Yeah,
How
absolutely.
exactly elaborate on that? Like,
You know, I grew up in Alhambra.
where's that at?
That's like near Pasadena.
Okay.
And then when I turned, I think it was around 14, my parents separated. So I kind of started, yeah, no worries, man. I started to hop around, figure it out. And as soon as I finished high school, I knew I wanted to do something in arts. I loved creating and I loved building things. One of my first jobs was like construction. I was like,
I can't see you
the
doing
worst,
that.
Like on the roof, taking things. I wasn't building too much. I was like breaking stuff down, but I just had this drive, and I knew that when I closed my eyes, the vision that I saw was different than what was around me.
It's dope.
And I knew that, in order to get there, it wasn't going to be handed to me. And so it took a lot of trial and error, a lot of hard work. I lived in downtown for a bit when I was going to FITM. I went to design school, did my best there. But to be honest, I always wanted to do hair. I always wanted to do hair, but I just could never, be brave enough to say that to my parents.
Oh, right. Yeah. How did you get to that point?
It never got to that point. It wasn't until I started to do like celebrities and to make money and to have my own,
That took a lot of courage, man. Damn. Because I kind of like was at that point where I kind of wanted to do separate things, and I just was like telling my parents, but they were never supportive because I had that whole like be a doctor, be a lawyer, and there's nothing else type of a thing. Yeah, so I kind of was like having a lot of like issues with that too until like some success started coming, and then my parents were like, "Whoa!" And so yeah, I kind of feel you on that whole like. But you just like you just went after it.
I went after it. I met a really
Awesome.
cool guy, and he showed me the way. He took a chance on me.
Who was it?
His name is Thor, and at the time he was working at William Morris. And I remember when I first met him, he's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I cut hair." Right. And I was kind of slinging haircuts. Like, right. I didn't go to school for it. It was something that I picked up and learned.
That's dopest though, man. Because
to be honest, it paid my rent. Back then, my rent was like $500. I rented this room that didn't have a bathroom, and I made it happen for 2 years. I just did it. And I slanged haircuts, and I did everything else you can possibly think of. That was on Craigslist, like assisting like a florist, assisting interior designers, just taking on these assistant jobs. So I knew that I could get it because I had an eye for it, not because I had the work to show.
You definitely do. You just gotta take one look at your feet, and it's just like, wow, I want my feet to look like that too.
Oh, let me tell you, they didn't always look like that.
I know, like I saw what was it, Entertainment? What was the last one with Ruby?
Yeah, she was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, which is
wow.
Awesome. She's one of my favorites so much.
Oh my
she's
god,
one of my favorites.
Yeah. Like she's like a household name, and you know what's ironic about that? My girl Christina, she started watching Orange Is the New Black. Isn't that what she like popped off on?
Yeah, I started working with her when she was on Orange Is the New Black.
Oh my god, that's when she exploded, right?
I mean, I remember the first shoot I was on with her. She was seeing there. She's like, "It's crazy, my followers is going up like by the millions right now."
Oh,
like it was happening like in real time.
Damn.
And
the way you're working with these talents, right?
Yeah, but I try to always connect on a real like level, spiritual and just energetically. And she's definitely one of those ones where I'm with her and I don't feel like it's like that. I feel like her story is just as interesting as everybody else's, and she struggled and she worked and she did her part to get to where she's at, and that's why I respect her so much, because now she's able to help others that she kind of feels inspired by as well.
That's dope, man. like, so my first question now, as we're going into that, is what does self-love mean to you?
Self-love means so much, to be honest. You know what I mean? You really gotta, it's internal work. It's nothing that, you know, a therapist or a psychiatrist can help you with, because speaking from experience, I've had that. You know, I've had the psychiatrist, I've had a therapist, and you talk to them and they just say, shut up the noise, you know? Don't talk to that person. Create the boundaries. But self-love is really, to me, digging deep down inside of you and finding, I had to find my inner child, and I really had to nurture him, and I really had to shake his hand and be like, I got you. Because no matter how old we get, our inner child's still in there, still crying about the stuff they had to go through, still crying about the bullying. You know, unfortunately, you know, my inner child, for the longest time, only remembered the traumatic things, you know? Only remembered the things that were scarring, and it's only a split second of the memory, because we always, what do? We think about it and we're like, let me push it aside.
Right.
So self-love to me is really about expressing your feelings, whether it's to yourself in meditation or whether it's to someone that you trust. But, you know, I think too many people these days are about hold your feelings in. It's a weakness, or, you know, deal with it on your own time. But I feel like that's the recipe for people that, you know, do go crazy and do, you know, violent things in the industry, or do violent things in everyday life, like crime and things of that nature, because there's so much sadness, I think, in their heart, that they have nothing to lose at that point.
No, I agree with you. Like that whole thing, like there's nothing wrong with it. Like my last guest that came on before you, Jake, he had said that it was like the best thing that happened to him. It helped him, and it's like I feel like I don't think anything. I think that thing you talked about, like where you think people feel like, oh, they didn't be tough. It really is your like worst enemy. It's like your Achilles heel, because it didn't make you break.
But I feel like self-love really is the core of so many things, like so many isms, like whether it's codependency, whether it's depression, anxiety, it all stems from the lack of self-love. And it's something that you got to work at every day. And it's not like what we see today on Instagram, like self-love, I'm at a massage, self-love, I'm getting my nails. Those are all a part of it. But let me tell you, man, I can get a massage 3 times a week and get my nails cut once a month, and I'll still be dealing with the depression if I don't do it right.
No, definitely. I went through that for a long time too. Like, I don't know.
Which one, the massages?
No. The self-love part. And I feel like, I know we were talking about it off camera, where it was like a lot of it came from the energy I kept around me. That's where it would help. It was holding me back from loving myself. Like, I want to do this, and the people around me were like, oh, you're not going to do it. And then I finally found the right people, and those people were the ones that were like encouraging me. And it's like, if you're doing positive things and you're really doing good things, you should have people that are encouraging you. And that was what was holding me back from accelerating. It was like the people around me were holding me down, and I was like, oh, so I don't know. I think that was one thing that held me back from loving myself, was I just didn't know how to let go of toxic people.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like,
yeah, and it's like there was no guide. Like I always felt like I owe it to people to keep them around, but it was like you have to grow, and as humans we're supposed to like evolve, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that was like
you gotta love yourself more.
Yeah. And
well,
that was the part that got like it was hard for me to. I think that's why I think self-love is so important. Because if you love yourself, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve not to have the wrong people around you, and you have to come to that realization of what's right and what's wrong, and that was hard for me to always understand.
Yeah, I love that you said the deserving part, because it wasn't until, I'm gonna be completely honest, it wasn't until a week ago that I learned how to say I deserve this.
Right. It's like
we don't say that enough. You know, we kind of I kind of do my job, and I do my best, and I hope that it resonates with others. But it's tough for me to be like, I deserve this. You know, for so long I would, get on my knees and pray, thank you God so much for this opportunity to do that. And that's amazing, because blessings on blessings. But if you can deep down inside be like, I deserve this. And if you're coming from a place of love, which I feel like you are and I am, people that do get bullied normally do come from a place of love initially, So it's tough because you gotta be able to think like I deserve this, and what I have in front of me is because I deserve this.
Exactly. It was hard for me to kind of like understand that. But so that was the part for me that got really hard is I just didn't know like how to like weave through the right people and the wrong people. And that was kind of like the part that was bringing me down. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up being extremely sensitive, as they say.
I was too, like that. I was a really sensitive person.
Sensitive to energy, sensitive to everything.
Me too.
There's people that you hang out with and you leave and you're like, "Fuck, I want to hang out with them tomorrow. I want to hang out with them the next day." And there's people that you see and you feel doubty, you feel less than when you leave. And you gotta acknowledge those moments. You gotta, and even if it is someone that you love, because sometimes the ones you love the most hurt you the most.
Exactly. And you know another thing that I would do that would just, and I was the type of person that would self-destruct. Like, oh, this isn't working out, and I would just like hurt myself, like do things to damage myself through the process. That's the only way I knew how to like cope with it. Like, oh, these people are like hurting my feelings or whatever. So all I would do is turn to like, I don't know, something that was like go hide or like go into a depression, which is like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, of course.
like all these things aren't working out for me, so all I could do is like turn away and like go like hide or like go into my house and not come out, and it was like self-destruction. I think is a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, because self-destruction can also, you don't know it's self-destruction.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to find a solution. Okay, this isn't working, I'm gonna go here. This isn't.
Oh, not to interrupt you, but I feel like why I think self-destruction is so powerful is because self-destruction is dangerous because people turn to like substance abuse and alcohol, and that's the only way they know how to cope with it. Like, all right, I'm going to this deal, like whatever, like something that happens in your life, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the bottle. It's like that's self-destruction.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. Self-destruction. That. And people do it in so many different ways. Like some people have like food issues with it, like yeah,
all of the above.
It's all. I think that's what's up. It's like all to mask what you're going through, and so I had a lot of that too. Like, all things aren't working out right with what I want. Instead of like dealing with it, I would just sort of like. And here's an example. Like even in relationships, people self-destruct. Like you're having a hard time with that person. Instead, you just go out and like go to the club or like go date around and just say you'll do everything to just mess everything up. Yeah. I think so.
But I think that it's good if you experience, because for me, I gotta experience it.
Oh, I was a master of self-destruction. Yeah. That's why I know, like, you know, something's not going good. Don't just put a match to the whole entire situation and just like explode and run away from it. I was like the king of self-destruction.
Fortunately enough, I turned to art, and it can get a little bit self-destructive when the art is on me. So I do have to be careful nowadays when I want to get a tattoo, because that was my coping mechanism.
Oh, speaking on that, man, they look amazing. Wow, I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, wow, they look dope.
Thank you so much.
Really dope.
Thank you.
Man, they look like.
It took a lot of hours, a lot of pain.
And then when I was looking at your feet, it just like adds to your whole like swag. Like, it's dope.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate your acknowledgement.
You know, for reals. When was your first one?
My first one was on my back, and it was a star.
Oh man, it's like a piece of.
It's a star. It's still there.
Oh man, are you gonna get more?
You know, I'm gonna take a break for a little bit. I think that spiritually, I need to kind of cleanse my body of all the lead and everything from the ink. I kind of went a little ham this past year.
Is that a thing? Like, how?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about that more.
You know, they always say like, be careful what you put on your body. You know, whether it be products, lotions, creams, fragrances. You never know what these chemicals are doing to you. Deodorant, you know, you're putting straight up blood into your bloodstream.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah,
and how does that affect you? Like,
it can't be good. You know, I have a good understanding of the process when I get it. I get my tattoo. There's always a day or two after where I feel a little bit doubty, but I'm very like private with my life. Right. You know, I keep my friends close, but I stay home and I do my thing. So I just hibernate, and I know that after that there is a little bit of like, not depression, but it's like all this adrenaline from getting this tattoo and all this hype. Like
There's a downside to it.
There's
There's
there's always a moment where I look in the mirror and I'm like, all right, well, we did that. There's no turning back now.
Like, but and it fits with what you're doing in life. It's like it's going well, right?
The good thing is, and I appreciate that as well.
Yeah,
But the
it's
good
not
thing
like-
is if you do it out of passion and out of like a true desire to do it for yourself, it's okay to do it. You know,
Right.
But if you're doing it to please, X, Y, and Z, and if they don't like it, then that would spin me out.
Right.
If you were my brother, I got your name on me thinking that you're gonna like it, and you turn to me and be like, "Dude, that's stupid."
Oh, right.
Imagine where that's gonna put my mind. Like, wait, what?
Right.
So you got to make sure in everything you do it because you feel it.
Right. That's awesome. So I was gonna ask you, have you ever got bullied or have a story that you feel comfortable sharing that you like learned from growing up?
Yeah, I think that I got bullied in elementary school, and I think a lot of the bullying I got, I didn't come out looking like a certain ethnicity.
Right.
I'm a hybrid.
Right.
I got like about 4 different ethnicities in me, and so that you can never really place me. And I think that the kids my age didn't know how to understand it. And being an artist, I use my body as a vessel to display my art, and I use other people's bodies like hair and stuff to display my art as well. But kids don't understand that. I also played football, I played basketball, I played baseball. I was around all these kids that knew how to, do all these things, and I was doing it. I was going with the flow, but my mind was out in space, imagining something. So it was tough because I could never be that kid that would just run along with a bunch of other kids my age. Like I always kind of gravitated towards the older people. I always gravitated towards knowledge. When I was young, I got shuffled around a lot with relatives and stuff. So I always knew proper etiquette, and I always knew how to act. Being polite and being a gentleman in elementary school, it ain't gonna fly with these kids, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I was bullied, but I think that
It
everyone
seems
gets
like it was
bullied
like you're getting bullied for being different.
for being different.
Right.
But
So how do you
problem is-
think were you coping with that? I mean,
The funny thing is that that bullying didn't really affect me because it's the same kind of bullying you get on social media. The bullying for me that really kind of stopped me in my tracks was the bullying at home.
oh wow, man. How was that what was getting to you? Like my thing with the bullying at home, I was just like I was doing the whole like tuning out and not letting anyone know what was going on with me. So that was kind of
It's tough. I think that a lot of the stuff a lot of the things that I can look back at now and realize is that I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be fed. I was a big boy growing up. And I just wanted to be cared for, and I didn't get that. So I overproduced my love. I overproduced giving. And, it's tough because my parents had me when they were young. My mom was 21. I think my dad was 23. And although they did their best with what they knew how to parent, I was the first child. It wasn't enough, and I think that I definitely got bullied a lot with my mom. Like she, not to this day because I've learned the term healthy boundaries, but we were talking about it earlier off air. It's you want to come home and you want to tell all your accomplishments.
exactly. You want to
wanna-
celebrate your wins.
You want to come home, throw off your shoes, and do what you want. And
Mhm.
me being somewhat different growing up, I did a lot of things that weren't normal. Whether it be like, dancing, I had too much energy, or you're too sensitive, or like things that weren't what the normal kids were doing. And I felt like no matter what I did, it was wrong. No matter what I said, it was, kids don't say that, like, oh, boys don't say that, or, everything I was doing was
Right.
wrong. So I had to kind of mold myself to be this child that hopefully one day my mom will kind of appreciate and love.
Right.
This is me as a younger kid.
Right.
And it's tough because you can't really go to school the next day and be like, my mom's bullying me, or I feel like I have to walk on eggshells around her.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no,
to me,
exactly
that's more, because kids can bully at school. You can get into a fight and boom, whatever, we get in trouble, we squash it out, or
Right, exactly.
whatever, it lingers. But like, when it's someone that you love, someone so close, not getting approval or just having them constantly tell you other than you want to hear, it's that bullying to me is so much more worse
Right.
than bullying on social media, bullying on at school, because all these people, whatever, I don't know you, push them to the side. And I feel like people need to acknowledge that a little bit more.
Right, man. How would you, looking at the younger you now that you're an adult, what would you have told him?
Run.
I know. That's
Run as fast as you
I
can.
know. Like, I don't want you to seem like insensitive the whole thing, but it's like you have one life and you're living your life, and it's like you don't need to feel bad or anything for being who you want to be.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about today, in this age, that we know and we embrace individuality.
Exactly.
Parents are embracing individuality. I'm gonna have a kid, and I'm gonna embrace my kid's individuality.
I promise you, I was thinking about that too, because I'm at that stage. It's like I'm in a relationship. I want to have kids, and it's like I'm gonna embrace them, everything they want. I want them to feel like they're loved, and if they're different, that's fine. I just don't want my kid to do like any negative thing, like be a criminal. That's the only thing I'm like would not want. But other than that, they could be whoever they want to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
And any race, religion, whatever they want, as long as it's positive and they're not doing like negative things, I'm gonna love them.
Yeah, and I can promise you, there's more kids that are in school now that are different.
Exactly.
So it makes it okay for that one kid that doesn't feel at home when they're home.
Exactly.
They can go to school and build this family. And I think I agree to that term more than anything. People say like friends of the family you build.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true.
Exactly. How did you get to that point where you started knowing like who you want around and who you don't want around? And then we were talking about how you had friends, and then I was kind of like, oh no, well you just cut him, and you were like, well because it is hard when you're having people around for a very long time, right, to let them go.
Yeah, I think it really, for me, it was about acknowledging who I am and being my most authentic self. And once I knew that and what I liked and what I disliked, I knew that I wasn't just going to agree with anybody. And being able, you have to have friends and to have these people around you. You have to be the person that's agreeing with everyone. We all gotta, let's all take this shot. Let's all do this. Yeah, I hate this person.
Exactly.
But if you're not, you're kind of left on the side. Now
Exactly.
with me, and it wasn't like I was left on the side like I want to be cool. I was left on the side like, nah. Not that I don't want to do that, but like I don't agree. But not like confrontational. I don't agree. It's more like I'm gonna push away and not agree.
I know. How did you overcome that?
I still haven't. I just been able to really love myself and to love being around myself and loving myself enough to let one or two people in and acknowledging the red flags and knowing when what this person said made me feel something similar to how I felt growing up. This person made me feel a little bit lesser than didn't even know that they made me feel that way. Cool. I think my problem is by not acknowledging that to the other person. My problem is I'm like, okay, I'll just ghost them or I'll just go and do my own thing. That's not really the best way to handle it.
Right.
But when you don't have the tools, that's all you can do is to get away from it. And it comes that one chick that does the cleaning of the house, and
right.
She's like, this is how you clean your closet. And
right.
I feel like that's the same way it is with us. Like we hoard all these clothes, like we hoard people because we want friends, we want people to speak highly of us. But like if you're gonna pull this shirt up and it doesn't give you, happiness or whatever, why are you keeping it in your closet?
I know.
I said it today when I put these pants on. I'm like, God, every time I put these pants on, I fucking hate it because they're so tight. Like, why the hell do I keep them? It's like,
right.
And I also, being spiritual and being on that path of just enlightenment, I meet people on different walks of life that have already passed those stages, and they'll tell me like, I met someone really cool this weekend, and she told me she was actually telling the person next to me that the best way for her to cut these ties is to visually do this, because the more people we invite into our life, it's like they're putting a hose into our body.
No, for real, it is just
but check this though. Like, I'm sure you and your girlfriend have a hose into each other's body, but it's feeding back and forth. It's like you guys are thriving.
I know. You know what's funny about that? And it's nothing but good minds.
That's what I'm saying,
bro. Even like we're on such a wavelength where it's like if anyone that comes in our space, well, if we feel like we're moving together, it's like a great feeling. Like,
it's so great, man.
Yeah, it's like it could be the best feeling if you guys. And I know earlier, like I don't know, with with her, it was kind of like I was holding back certain things I wasn't wanting to express to her that were less toxic, and I just felt like maybe telling her it's gonna like bring her down, but it was no, communicating was the best thing because if they love you, they're gonna back you up no matter what. It's that loyalty of, let's say me and you're hanging out and I'm like, hey, this coffee pot is blue, and you're like, no, it's obviously black, and my girl's like, no, it's blue. That's what I think loyalty is. Like you stand by that
Bro,
person.
that is so like.
That's what I have with.
I love the way you put that, but
as I see this,
someone that loves you won't throw you under a bus.
Exactly. Another example is like you go to, I don't know, Burger King and you order like 5 Whoppers, and the person's like, oh, you just ordered 6, and your girlfriend's like, no, he said 5. That's loyalty. Like they stand by you, whether you're right, you're wrong. I have that, and it's like the best feeling, bro. And I see people go through that all the time. That's what I think loyalty is. Even if that person is wrong, you'll still stand by them. Like, no, and it's the best feeling.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
The thing is too. I feel like I completely agree with you, but I also understand that feeling can also come by yourself.
How explain that?
So like that feeling of like loyalty, like you being loyal to yourself. So I've been in a relationship before where it felt like, oh, amazing, gosh, we're like vibing, everything. Right. I'm gonna marry this girl. We're gonna have kids. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and then it's gone. Because of whatever, it didn't work out, and then I'm sad. Oh my God, I'm never gonna have that feeling again. Oh my God, I miss who I was when I was that person.
Right.
Oh my God. Da, da, da. But if you love yourself and you're loyal to yourself, and you know that no matter what, you're gonna back yourself up. Like, you know what? I'm still gonna feel like this. I'm still gonna get up every morning. I'm still gonna do me because
That's
I still
powerful.
feel that. See what I'm saying?
That's beyond.
Because, bro, let me tell you, I looked for it afterwards. People, serial daters, people that keep getting into relationships, people that become codependent. It's really because they want to feel that feeling of love and that thriving. But I just got a dog 2 months ago, and I'm telling you,
You did?
if I have another relationship, it's gonna have to be just as good as the relationship I got with my dog. She loves me to death, and I love her to death.
This is like a really funny thing that's there right now, but my girl Christina, before we moved in, she had 2 puppies. They're like 2 little dogs that she had for 10 years. And I was like, oh, they're barking a lot. And she got hella heated, like, things that'll never leave. They're like, my, you better figure it out. And I'm like, and that's loyalty.
Oh, that's loyalty. But then I've been in your shoes, and I'm like, oh, this fucking dog. The fucking dog just pissed all over my cowhide, or whatever it is, But it took me getting a dog to realize.
Yeah, and then she kind of like depressed, like, we don't talk about them. And it's like, whoa, I want that. It's like, So
that, you know what I mean? So it can come in all shapes and forms, and it doesn't need to come in another person. But when you do find that, you got to take care of it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm learning with my dog right now. Like, I've had her for 2 months, and right now it looks like we've been together for years. The first month I was ripping my hair out. I was like, it was just so tough. I could not handle it, and my escape, my mechanism of dealing with that would have been like the way I deal with the relationship. I gotta take it back. Like, I gotta listen. There was moments where my lowest low with her was like, I opened my gate and I said, you know what, baby, if you don't want to be here, then leave. I cannot believe I did that, but the thing is, it taught me that like you can't give up. If something is so good and you want to keep it, you gotta nurture it.
Exactly. It's like a level of maturity.
But the idea is to love yourself, be loyal to yourself, and not hold and stick to this list. And he goes, believe it or not, when I found my wife and we started hanging out, because he was like, I won't even take a girl out to drinks if she didn't match my criteria.
Right. That's
once the girl matched the criteria, whether it be personality and all these things, like the one he met, she had a list too, and he marked off all those.
No.
So once you get past that list, then anything else aside from that, whether it's like something little, or you don't put down the toilet seat, or you leave the door open, you can deal with it because you know what, you mark off those 30 things right there.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Right?
Because when I met my girl right now, she had all these things, and she kept throwing them at me like, I can't be with someone that does this, and I can't be with someone that does this and does this, and I was like, whoa, and it drew me to like her strength, like it drew me to it. Like I want to be with someone that knows that they're deserving, and it made me a stronger person. So
yeah, we seek out people that we want to be. That have the things that we don't have. If we find someone that's just as fucked up as we are,
like I want someone to build me up and we go strong together, not someone that's like working or like together we're just like falling down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
but we do that though, because whether we meet them when we're partying, we're kind of doing the same thing, and it's like you realize that we're both kind of broken, and we're trying to put it back together. Sometimes that works, but for the most part, it's not going to work because those issues that you had in the beginning are going to come back in the end.
I think that's why, like, you can't learn to love someone unless you love yourself. Because that self-love is a gift that you're giving. And I feel like I'm not like a dating guru or nothing, but I feel like a lot of relationships don't last because you're getting two people that aren't like they don't love themselves enough or strong enough in who they are, and you get them together, and it gets really like toxic.
Yeah.
But you need to have like two people that are like both strong.
Or you don't love yourself enough,
exactly.
So you're constantly giving to get this love.
Exactly.
And the way people are today, everyone's kind of playing the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is hard, and especially in this industry, it's not easy because everyone's a mastermind.
I know, it's like, I know. I know what you mean. Like,
everyone's really good at what they do.
Right. I was going to ask you back to that whole like, for you to get to where you are, what are some things you went through to be at this level when you're like working with celebrities, and like how did you get to that level?
It was hard. It was a lonely path.
Let's explain it some more. Like, what are some things that you went through that?
I mean, I came into the scene fresh out of. I didn't even go.
How many years ago was this?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
See, that's like one thing that like a lot of people, if they're listening, it's like you're never gonna like get where you want unless you like put in that work. I don't even believe there is such thing as a overnight star anymore. And
I wish it would really save me a lot of time.
Like even for this podcast to get to this level, I've been doing this for 7 years.
Wow.
So people think like, oh, but it's like, no, man, I've done this for a long time.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, man. It wasn't just like, let me wake up and start doing. No, man, I put in my time.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I came into this industry not a professional, and I was thrown into a pool of very talented professionals, and it was in the beginning of like, I think Instagram was cool. Like my Instagram wasn't even popping off, but I had some cool clients, and we would vibe, and then they would post me, and then my fan base would grow, my following would grow. But
because that's like explaining like you have talent, and sometimes talent over prevails because you need talent. So it's like your talent was doing the work for you too.
My talent is nowhere near where what is it now.
But even back then they were.
Yeah, because back then I was making mistakes in front of everybody. I was making mistakes on a platform that was seen by millions. So it was tough. That broke me so many times. I put all my eggs in one basket, and I was like, this is hair. I'm doing hair. I'm breathing it. I'm eating it. I'm sleeping with it. Like,
awesome.
And when you mess up doing it, you're like, who am I? Like, what am I? If I can't do hair, what else am I gonna do? And then layer in the bullying, layer in all the tabloids and stuff, and so and so's hair looked huge, or so and so like.
Right. How did you get through that? Because
it was tough. Like there was moments where I worked so hard, like put in like hours for a whole week to get to this one award show,
right? To
give my client exactly what she wanted, and it did not, reside with a lot of people, and it messed me up. I got threats, kill yourself, you should fire yourself, all these things, and unfortunately I didn't have a strong enough love for myself, and it really affected me, and it sucked because I knew that I gave it my all, but to some people they think this guy's a professional and he's there doing that and he's messing up, but it's like, I want to be a professional, I'm always a student, so it was tough, and also I'm working aside other artists that have been there for a long time. They don't know me, they see me walk up with tattoos and making it happen with very little, they're not going to understand, and I don't expect them to. So it was tough. It was tough trying to find my way in this industry. It's still tough, dude. I got tattoos on my face. You think an agent wants to put me in front of a celebrity all the time? That's why I got to find the people that know how to nurture the type of person that I am, because I am a little bit offbeat. I am like not the norm when it comes to artistry.
But that's what makes you awesome, and that's what makes you that's what got you to my attention. That's why I wanted you on the podcast. That you're different than what makes you awesome, man.
Thank
Because
you.
that's what's that
Thank you
got
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
that.
what got you where you got, and instead of fitting the norm. And that's why this whole thing is like it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is we gotta understand that it's okay to be who we are. And
Exactly.
everyone's different. You can't compare yourself to those around you.
What got you to that point that you found that strength? Well, you started achieving a lot of success in your work, right? So you kept saying like, oh, hey,
You ever hear? There's a billboard that's up right now that says "Never meet your heroes." You seen that billboard?
No, what do you think that means?
I mean, I was in the industry and I chose to idolize certain people and to think, oh, I love their work. I love this, but like I said, I'm spiritual. I connect on a real level, and then I do my work. I'm a gentleman,
But that's
and then I
usually
do
how it works, though. No.
Yeah, but then you meet these people and you realize that you put them on this pedestal, and maybe they're assholes to people. Maybe they treat their assistants like crap. Maybe they're not all around good people. And I realize, you know what? Wow, maybe I'm not like you. Maybe I don't want to be you.
Right.
Does that mean I'm not going to get the house? Does that mean I'm not going to work with these certain people? No, that just means that it's going to take a little bit more work on my part to show what I have to offer.
Oh, that was dope, man. For real. No, I know what that means too, because at the end of the day, when you're authentic to yourself and you really know, I know you know who Gary Vee is, right? That entrepreneur guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had this video that I was like you were saying earlier, like I'm always learning too. Like I constantly like learn and sponge. And I was watching one of his like YouTube videos while I was doing some other work, and this one thing that caught up to me that he had I don't know, it was like some guy on his podcast, but it was like he had said like the guy had asked like Gary, why is it that when people go really hard, some break? And his whole thing was like it's because some people are being who they're not, and when you're trying to be something you're not, and the pressure comes on, that's when people break. And it's true. Yeah, it's like you're doing all this stuff and you're going so hard and it doesn't work out, and that's how people break, and that's how the ones that triple down and they're just going hard and they become who they want, they don't break. It's because they're always staying authentic. So when you're saying like I work with people, maybe if I might not get this big house, I might not get this big thing, it's fine because I'm staying true to myself.
Yeah,
that's
very
powerful.
Thank you. But I love that you quoted that guy, Gary.
Yeah,
it's so true. The thing is, I'm sure he had to conform a bit. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I had to conform.
No,
I had to play the part. I grew the hair out. I looked like, I knew how to do hair because I did, but I had to sell it. And when I got to that point, and when I started to hit these landmarks, and I was only celebrating it by myself, and I was only going home at night by myself and not feeling fulfilled, I was like, no, this isn't it. This isn't the way I'm supposed to be doing it. So it took me being not as authentic as I should be to get to where I'm at today, because I was like, you know what? I got there. That wasn't what I wanted. But my little child, my 14-year-old self that was watching the E channel saying I wish I could do those people's hair, would think that was the end all. Like, oh, you made it. Right. Like, I'm sure he'd be right behind me saying, you made it. Like, and deep down, I'm like, no, this is lonely. This is not me making it. Right. And it's at the end, because it's like at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. So if you're just doing what makes you happy, what's true to yourself, it's the best feeling. And when you're doing all these things, right, and you're not, and then it's on the outside, everyone's like, oh, you're doing great, but you feel like shitty. It's the worst. Oh, it's the worst, man. You don't want to wake up. It's part of depression. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not even happy for your own achievements, Exactly. No, it's tough. I wish that, they taught this in school, to be honest. They don't, man. I think, we touched on some really dope stuff. And, I feel like coming to the end of this, what would be your advice to the end of this to any student, anyone that's listening, anyone that has been following you over the years, about if they're getting bullied and having a hard time learning to love themselves? What would be their advice to them listening? To be honest, I would say to start a journey. I would start a journey inside of you and really find what makes you happy. Love yourself. Shake your own hand. Pat your own self on the shoulders. Love yourself. Every morning, I want to be able to love myself more. What am I doing to do that? I wake up in the morning and I say, I love you shoulders. I love you knees. I love you hands. Because, this is me. I need to be able to love myself so that when I go out and someone throws a curveball, I already got my protection. I already
Right.
filled my cup up this morning, and I would honestly tell them just to not give up. You know what I mean? Especially if you're dealing with bullying at home, if you're dealing with bullying at school. You know, everyone's going through something, but it's really about how well you take care of yourself. That's going to show how you react to these things. You know, you can react by letting it really penetrate you and really like break you down, or you can be like, this person is going through something. It's not mine. Cut that cord. You know, cut the hose. It's not for me.
Oh, definitely, man. That's definitely a mistake with me, man. It was awesome having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing me in here.
Thanks for coming, man. It was like really awesome. Like I got a lot from it personally.